I'm Dennis Walcott. It's a pleasure to see all of you bright and early, and we look forward to hearing your testimony. And what we'll be doing is a two-part day today. We will have our virtual testimony taking place from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. today. And then tonight we will be at the Schomburg Center from 5:30 to 9 o'clock. So we look forward to all the testimony from the individuals. We already have a nice lineup for our virtual session. And just to give you a quick summary, yesterday we were at the Medgar Evers College. And then prior to that, we were up in Bronx and then Staten Island and then Queens. So today concludes the next step of the process of getting public feedback. And I see so far, we have several of our commissioners joining. I see we have Monsignor Sullivan joining us, and we have, of course, our staff. And as people come in, we'll be joined by other commissioners as well. We're going to try to do it a little differently today because with it being all virtual for this session, we'll have our great team at the office call the names. But of course, we will start out with our council member, Julie Menin. And just for record keeping's sake, while we have a long line of people to speak, obviously the council member will lead off. We are trying to adhere to a 3-minute schedule. That way we can squeeze everyone in. But with that being said, council member, the Zoom is yours.
Thank you so much, Chair Walcott. It's great to see you, and thank you, commissioners, as well. I really appreciate the opportunity to testify. My name is Julie Menin, and I'm the New York City Council member for Council District 5. Today, I am testifying to express my opposition to the draft maps released last month. These maps separate communities of interest, and I respectfully urge the commission to restore the neighborhoods of Sutton Place, the Upper East Side, and Roosevelt Island to Council District 5 as you submit your final plan to the City Council later this year. I want to start by noting the robust feedback that we've received from constituents in opposition to these maps. My office has received phone calls and emails from literally hundreds of constituents, all almost uniformly expressing their displeasure with the preliminary map boundary lines. I know you'll be hearing from many of these very constituents throughout this virtual hearing and the in-person hearing in Harlem this evening. Recently, I submitted a letter to the commission expressing my concerns regarding the maps, and I just want to take the time in this testimony to reiterate and expand upon those. The draft maps separate longstanding communities of interest and have some problematic effects regarding schools, transportation networks, parks, and other major institutions. Within the preliminary redistricting maps, 3 elementary schools, PS 158, PS 183, and PS 217 would all be moved to Council District 26. Additionally, PS 217 and 158 have co-located middle schools in their buildings. These schools would be represented by a council member who primarily represents Queens School Districts 24 and 30. Dividing a council member between 3 different Department of Education school districts does not ensure continuity of representation and dilutes the ability for a council member to effectively communicate, advocate, and respond to constituent school district concerns. Furthermore, many residents who will remain in Council District 5 would continue to attend these schools despite the schools being represented by a different council member than the one who represents them. The redistricting proposal also separates important transportation systems between multiple districts. The Roosevelt Island Tram would, for example, be represented by 2 different council districts. Furthermore, the F train, a critical transportation artery for the island, would have 3 separate council members representing the Roosevelt Island station and its 2 adjacent stops. The lack of cohesive representation for these transportation networks to and from Roosevelt Islands could have a negative impact on advocacy to the MTA and the Roosevelt Island Operating Corporation for improvements to these networks. The draft maps also eliminate significant parkland from Council District 5. Council District 5 already ranks 47th out of 51, meaning we're at the bottom, in terms of open green space. And with the loss of these parks, it would rank even lower. Furthermore, these parks would be moved to Council District 26, where they're not as easily accessible to a majority of residents. This could have problematic effects in determining funding and upkeep for our historically underfunded parks, including East River Esplanade, Sutton Place Park, John Jay Park, Andrew Haskell Green Park, and of course the state parks on Roosevelt Island as well. Many of these parks have longstanding and deep connections to the community and the residents they serve. Separating them from some of these residents with regards to their representation in the city council would not be in the best interest of the parks or of the community. The final point I want to make is that there is a community consensus here. Community Board 6 in Manhattan and Community Board 8 in Manhattan have both issued resolutions in opposition to the preliminary maps. Many community organizations have joined the hundreds of residents to make their voices heard, as have local nonprofits such as Civitas and Friends of the East River Esplanade. Institutions that will be split by the new lines include Rockefeller University, the Hospital for Special Surgery, and Hunter College, which have all opposed these lines. This strong chorus of oppositions demonstrates that these lines separate communities of interest, and I urge a commission to rectify. The final point I want to make before closing is that as a former director of the NYC's 2020 census efforts, I really personally understand the difficult task the commission has at hand. New York City's record population growth is not spread out evenly, and thus the council maps must, of course, change significantly. However, the current draft is problematic in the way it severs communities for the reasons that I've mentioned above. I respectfully urge a commission to restore Sutton Place, Roosevelt Island, and the Upper East Side to District 5. And I thank you so much for the opportunity to testify today. Thank you.
Thank you, council member, for your testimony, and we appreciate the feedback. And you have a great day.
Thank you.
Okay, Julia, you will take the role now of calling those that who are ready to testify.
Okay, we've got Councilmember Ari Kagan.
Council member, welcome.
Good morning. Do you hear me well?
Can you speak up a little, council member?
Yes. Do you hear me well? Good.
Okay. Yes, sir.
Good morning, members of District and Commission. Thank you for this opportunity. I'm Ari Hagen, a council member from the 47th District in Southern Brooklyn. I'm testifying today to express my opposition to the preliminary maps released by District and Commission last month, especially the idea that our council district should add additional neighborhoods closer to the Rosanna Bridge, while I strongly believe that composition of the district should reflect more what was done before the last redistricting, meaning communities of interest should be in the same council district 47. Traditionally, historically, Coney Island, Tram Village, Vorbas, Luna Park, beginning of Brighton Beach, Beach Haven, Gravesend where I live, Marlborough houses, they're in the same councilmanic district, they're in the same congressional district, same senatorial district, same community board 13, same police precinct number 60s. In fact, right now, 47th district includes entire boardwalk, Coney Island, Brighton Beach boardwalk and beaches, but doesn't include all communities around the boardwalk. Specifically, I have Coney Island boardwalk and Coney Island in my district, but I don't have right now even the parts of Brighton Beach. I don't have bright water towers. Also, it's totally illogical to have in the 47th district to have a Vorbas, which is a Michelama co-op high-rise, but do not have Tram Village, Luna Park, bright water towers. Also, similar communities of interest, similar even same co-ops. It's a few blocks from each other, sometimes several minutes from each other. Meanwhile, the commission proposed to add neighborhoods far away from all of these neighborhoods, like Becker Heights and Fort Hamilton. I believe we need to reunite all communities of interest that existed in the 47th Councilmanic District before last redistricting. I mean, I believe it should be Coney Island, Seagate, Tram Village, Vorbas, Luna Park, Brighton Beach between Ocean Parkway and Coney Island Avenue, parts of Gravesend and parts of Bensonhurst. And it will not contradict the idea of creating in Brooklyn Asian American district, which I fully support. I believe both of these things could be done simultaneously and without any kind of issues or problems, like it was again before the last redistricting. Thank you for your attention, and I hope you will take my opinion and opinion of many of stakeholders I talked to in the last several weeks. Everybody I talked to in the district agreed with my ideas that it could be done properly without any problems in other neighboring districts. Thank you so much and have a beautiful day.
Thank you, council member, and have a great day. Just a point of information for folks that we are recording this and then it will be officially transcribed afterwards. So just so you'll know that we are recording and it will be officially transcribed. Jill, before you go to the next speaker, could you also introduce the commission members who have joined us as well?
Yes, we have Commissioner Kevin Sullivan, Commissioner Mark Warzel. Let's see, hopefully we've got Commissioner Darren Porcher. Let's see, hopefully we haven't missed anybody.
If not, we'll come back to them.
Okay.
And want to call the next person testifying, please?
Yep, we've got Council Member Keith Powers.
Good morning, Council Member.
Hi there. Good morning, Chair, and good morning to all the commissioners, and thank you to everyone who's attending here today. And I also want to say I appreciate adding this virtual hearing, which makes it so much easier for many folks to be able to testify and attend these really important hearings. So thank you guys. And also I want to recognize this is a really hard job and task that you guys are asked to do here. And I know that it is a big puzzle that you have to put together while looking at many different factors. And I think even the public doesn't always understand how much work goes into this. So just want to say thank you and appreciate the work you are all doing at a very important work and unrecognized and underappreciated, I think, at times. So thank you guys for all you're doing. I am really proud to be the city council member representing the 4th Council District. I represent an area from the Upper East Side down to where Stuyvesant Town and Peter Cooper, a district that is the one I grew up in, and it's been long the home and a really good connected district. And one of the really great things about my district is it really does represent sort of the epicenter of tourism culture and much more of the city, everything from Times Square, which I'm so lucky to represent, all the way up to the cultural institutions on the Upper East Side, and all the folks in Midtown as well that make such a big part of the vibrancy of Manhattan and New York City. So I've always been really proud and privileged to represent such an important area, not only for the city, but for the entire world, as this is the first place they see often when they get here and want to see what New York City is and what it represents. So I have been very proud and would urge to kind of keep that sort of connectivity of the cultural, the tourism, and all the sort of landmarks here in one place. I'm actually here, though, for a different reason, which is I am, you're going to hear, I think today at the in-person hearing, and of course in this period here, concerns about the Upper East Side, and you're going to hear from many of my constituents and folks that are deeply concerned about the way the lines have been drawn when it comes to the Upper East Side. It does not affect my district nearly the same as it does others, and whoever represents it, I know will do a great job. We have great colleagues, but there is a deep concern that's being heard from many folks on the Upper East Side in Community Board 8 and Sutton Place and in Community Board 6 about the plan to move portions of the council districts in Manhattan to be connected across the water, primarily here in Queens. That is, our area on the Upper East Side has traditionally been represented by 2 council members. This would add a third and a sliver of it. And residents are rightfully concerned about the impact that fracturing their community will have between boroughs, will have on everything, between basic constituent services, funding that goes to the district, land use decisions that have to be made, which is obviously one of the biggest powers we have as a council member, and much more. And I think you're seeing in other areas a resistance to doing spillover into other boroughs, and that is the same case here, where you see folks who live on the east side of the Upper East Side who now are waking up and finding out that they might be represented across the water there. So I want to be here just to represent and to reflect those concerns from many folks in my district in the district adjacent to mine who feel that their neighborhood should be kept intact as much as possible. It's my time, and I know it's like to run over, so I'll keep it at that, but wanted to be here just to reflect those comments and concerns. And again, say a very big thank you to you guys for everything you're doing here as part of this process.
And thank you, council member, for your testimony. We appreciate it. And have a good day.
Thanks.
Julia?
We've got State Senator Brad Hoylman.
Thank you very much.
Welcome, State Senator.
Hello, good morning, sir.
Good morning.
State Senator Brad Hoylman. Let me first say, Mr. Chair, I wish you were in charge of redistricting for the state Senate and congressional lines. Just putting that out there. I'm State Senator Brad Hoylman. Want to thank the members of the commission and my colleagues and community members who've all engaged with this process so far. I represent the State Senate District 27, which includes Hell's Kitchen. I'm testifying today in support of keeping Hell's Kitchen as united as possible, ideally within one city council district. The proposed redistricting map breaks up Hell's Kitchen into 3 separate city council districts. The Hell's Kitchen neighborhood stretches from 8th Avenue to the Hudson River between West 34th and West 59th Street. Hell's Kitchen is a vibrant and politically active community with a strong record of fighting for affordable housing, schools, parks, small business, and LGBTQ rights. It's also the site of the Clinton Special District, which was pioneered in 1973 sorry about that. Am I still on? I had a connection here.
Yes, you're still on.
Okay, sorry about that. Sorry, I apologize.
That's okay, you're still on.
Okay, sorry about that. It's also the site of the Clinton Special District, which was pioneered in 1973 to preserve the residential character of the community and ensure that housing remained affordable to a range of income groups. Hell's Kitchen is also fully included in the boundaries of Community Board 4, having council districts informed by and to the extent practicable, consistent with community board lines makes it possible for the community board and local elected officials like me to work on initiatives for the neighborhood with a more powerful and united and effective voice. It's so much easier for a state senator to work with one council member and one community board than a multitude which represent the same neighborhood. Hell's Kitchen is also a diverse neighborhood and has seen a significant increase in Hispanic and Asian American residents since the last census. Latino, Asian American, Black, and multiracial communities now make up most of the district's population. The preliminary map would split Hell's Kitchen into 3 different majority white city council districts, potentially, I'd argue, in violation of the Federal Voting Rights Act of 1965. Therefore, I urge the Redistricting Commission to closely consult the Unity Map, which was developed by leading voting rights advocacy organizations representing people of color in New York City. This map would keep Hell's Kitchen whole. Thank you to the commission, and thank you, Mr. Chair, for your consideration of my comments.
And thank you for your testimony, sir. Have a great day. We've also been joined by Commissioner Kirschenbaum as well. So welcome, Commissioner Kirschenbaum. Julia? Julia, on mute.
The next person is Rodney Reed.
Hi. Good afternoon. I mean, good morning. I was anticipating that the commissioner was getting ready to speak. I apologize. My name is Rodney Reed. I reside as a proud shareholder of Rochdale Village Incorporated, a Mitchell-Lama housing company in the great City Council District of 28, where we are proud of having the first Black woman Speaker of the Council, Adrienne Adams. I'm rising in opposition to the existing preliminary map drawing, specifically relative to Rochdale Village. I know you guys have heard testimony from members of the board, or at least one member of the board, Gene Hall, who talked about Rochdale being a 5,860 unit apartment development, situated on 120 acres of land, with neighboring single family homes in the district. I just want to briefly talk about how it is disingenuous for this commission, and I'm believing primarily that this initial preliminary map had to be drawn based off of some computer demographics or something to that effect, because I can't imagine that a line would be drawn in the middle of a 5,860 unit of housing development to split up the district. I understand the importance of reducing the existing number from 1,000 down to whatever the requisite number is required. However, in one instance, this line goes through a building, which says to me that my neighbor in the next door would be in another district. The impact as a resident, and I'll speak as a resident taxpaying citizen, would mean that our district would be split up in between 3 council districts. I would be now in District 27. My neighbors in another group circle in the same Rochdale development would be in 28, and then another neighbor in another group circle would be in District 31. It's unfathomable to think that my neighbors would have to effectively advocate to 3 different council members in order to effectively represent our needs in the Rochdale Village community. It makes it so that, and I'll go another step, I'll go in another direction. We currently, according to United States Census, have roughly 900 brick and mortar businesses. It has drastically been shaven down from what it used to be on the assembly and on the senatorial level. We currently only have a deprived, underdeveloped economic area of businesses that span down Guy Brewer Boulevard and Suffolk Boulevard, which are depressed economically communities as it relates to business. We get no assistance like other communities that have thriving economic development and the ability to go and advocate to their businesses for our not-for-profit organizations that may require assistance for little leagues and football teams and all of those programs and social service programs. They're not afforded that opportunity because they're not in our district.
Sir, can you start to wrap up, please?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. And the harsh reality is that Rochdale Village would like and needs and must remain whole. We in our community have been this way since the inception of the 28th Councilman District, and we intend to do that, and we will make every effort to impress upon you the importance of keeping Rochdale Village Incorporated as one unit according to the current Councilman map in the 28th Councilman District. Thank you.
And thank you for your testimony. Much appreciated.
We have Carolina Tanjutko.
Thank you. Greetings, Mr. Chairman and esteemed commissioners. I'm Carolina Tanjutko, a resident of Roosevelt Island since 2010, where I bought my 2-bedroom unit after a long search for a Manhattan property. My daughter went to PS 217, which has been funded by Manhattan taxpayers like myself. Like many baby boomers, one of the biggest investment in my portfolio is my own home. The valuation depends on the location, the upkeep of the property, and neighboring community concerns. This conflict of whether or not we belong to Manhattan or Queensboro will certainly affect the current valuation of our homes when where there are jurisdictional and political issues affecting our quality of life. So what's next? Are we going to be transferred to Queens Council later on? Is there going to be a charter change? Like all American citizens, I have a constitutional right to protect my property and my investment against erosion of its value, as well as the protection of the quality of living, which includes the use of the New York Public Library and the sports facilities complex currently funded under Manhattan. But most importantly, our access to the NYPD without having to compete with the higher crime rate of our neighboring district. And let's talk about a little bit about the demographics. Each district is required to have 172,000 people in population. By the inclusion of Roosevelt Island with approximately 12,000 residents, now the population is up 184,000. Presently also, without any change, Roosevelt Island is 29% white non-Hispanic, 31% Asian, 29% Hispanic, and 6% Black. With the redistricting, it will be off balance to 44% white non-Hispanic, 25% Asian, 22% Hispanic, and 4% Black. Clearly, this is not in accord with the intention of the redistricting. A plain sight of the redistricting map shows a direct violation of the City Charter Section 52, an extreme crossover that results in oddly shaped map. It's not compact and joining neighborhoods with very distinct interests. Roosevelt Island is mainly residential, and we work effectively with our Manhattan Council members for quick delivery of services. This redistricting proposal will result to change neither Roosevelt Islanders nor Astoria residents would like to have. Your careful study and deliberation of our concerns that you are here today must be given a very serious and thorough evaluation of what is important to us, the constituents, not just to subserve the political end. Thank you for your attention. Roosevelt Island must remain as a Manhattan District Council 5.
And thank you for your testimony. Have a good day.
We have Delcinia Glover. No, okay. We have Y Chan. Would you like to testify?
Good morning. You're on screen. Would you like to testify? I can't tell if you're on mute. Julie, you want to come back? And
Yeah, I think, yeah, perhaps there's a sound issue. Okay, let's go to
we'll come back to you.
Barbara Nett.
Good morning. My
morning.
name is Barbara Connect. I live in Hell's Kitchen, Council District 3, West 55th Street, at the corner of 9th Avenue. I've lived here since 1988. By profession, I'm an architect and urban planner, working on the analysis, development, and livability of urban neighborhoods and cities. I worked for the city of New York in the 1980s and 90s. I'm here to speak in support of keeping Hell's Kitchen whole, and therefore in opposition to the preliminary map, which splits the northern end of Hell's Kitchen among 3 council districts. I'll make 3 brief points that speak to the requirements that guide the redistricting. Senator Hoylman also spoke to some of these points, and I have also submitted written testimony with additional detail. First, redistricting should keep neighborhoods and communities of interest intact. Communities of interest self-identify and self-define. In Hell's Kitchen, the physical boundaries of the neighborhood are coincident with the community of interest. 8th Avenue, Hudson River, 34th Street, 57th, 59th Street corridor. These common knowledge boundaries of Hell's Kitchen are reinforced by every result in a Google search and by the Special Clinton District established in 1973. A real example of the strong community of interest is dozens of neighborhood block associations, businesses, bids, alliances, individuals, and institutions came together rapidly in 2020 to form the Hell's Kitchen Neighborhood Coalition to address pandemic public safety. Second, proposed boundaries of the Voting Rights Act of '65, which this commission is bound to by law and by city charter. The data show that the preliminary map will increase the white non-Hispanic population of our district and reduce the percentage of Hispanic, Black, and Asian residents. Third, the Special Clinton District, which is wholly contained in Hell's Kitchen, was created in 1973 to preserve the character and scale of the neighborhood. By siphoning off parts of the district, it will adversely affect the ability to realize those goals. As one example, the businesses on 9th and 10th Avenues will be assigned to 3 council districts, thereby diluting their currently cohesive voice. The Unity Map offers an alternative which keeps Hell's Kitchen whole, our community of interest intact, and will put the commission in compliance with legal obligations. I join my neighbors in urging you to adopt it. Thank you for your time and your commitment to a fair process.
And thank you for your testimony. Have a great afternoon.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Okay, we're gonna try Y Chan again. Hmm? Oh, I think we still are not able to hear you. Hmm? Nope. Okay, we may have to, no, we can't hear you. We may have to come back. Okay. Okay. Let's see. Maya Yedin? No. James McBride? No. Okay. Don Lee?
Hi, good morning, everyone. Can you hear me? Just want to make sure. Good morning, Chair Walcott and the member of the commission. My name is Don Lee. I represent Homeless Community Services out in South Brooklyn. We have a center covering the Shift Bay area where we started 25 years ago by our co-founders, Mr. Roland Hill and Luther Mook. And our current center, we have another center over in Bensonhurst. The reason I brought that little detail is that we recognized 25 years ago the beginning of the shift in demographic of Asians going to South Brooklyn. And the continued data from the census have proven that point. Not only is it growing, it accelerated. Brooklyn have the highest Asian American population growth in the entire city. I want to speak specifically on the Bensonhurst issue recommendation. While we appreciate the commission's thoughtfulness of a Asian majority district, the reality is that the percentage that's given really is not sufficient to give up 2 Asian priority districts. Currently, unfortunately, I cannot share. I'm not able to share the screen, but right now in Bensonhurst, we're divided into 4 districts: District 38, District 44, District 47, District 43, and not just into equal parts, but in a way that it's, you look at the map itself, somewhat, there are neighbors in a certain corner there that in the 4 corner, they belong to 4 different districts. Families who are living nearby actually are voting for different city council members. So for us, the other key point why we started Homecrest in South Brooklyn is that At that time, we have the percentage of Asians about 12%, but we received less than 1% of funding from city in general. And right now, even with 18% and growing, we receive less than 4%. And I think that's part and partial to the fact that we are divided into so many different districts. So the opportunity is clear because of the growth in population in South Brooklyn in particular. And I really want the commission to take a look at the map. I don't know if you can see it here. I'm gonna try. You see this is the map of Asians so you can see Sunset Park up top, but the other maps are the Asian voting Asian population in Bensonhurst and South Brooklyn. So what we're asking for is simple, that instead of dividing us into 4 different districts, divided into 3 doesn't make it any better. And so we really are hoping that the commission will support the unity map. I think the most important point that we want to bring is that it will unite and keep whole community of interest. And the growth, and we see the growth that will continuing. And I am confident that with the shift that in the very near future, there will be possibly 2 Asian majority districts. And again, I thank the commissioner for your consideration for that. But really what we need, what the community need and what the law is asking us to, to follow is to keep communist interests together. That's one of the key concerns. So we hope that you will seriously consider the unity map. We are for keeping Bensonhurst together. Again, it's because the growth in population continue growth and shift. And we really need the fair representation along with our neighbor to make sure that we got the proper level of services. So I want to thank the commissioner, and I don't want to have more time for the rest of the speakers. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony. Also, we've been joined by Commissioner Hanratty, so welcome as well. Julia?
Catherine Grimm. Yeshiva Bonobos Ahavs Israel. No. Let's see, we've got David Piccaro.
Good morning.
Good morning, you're on.
Yes, okay, my name is David. Okay, my name is David Scott Piccaro. I am a member of Community Board 13, Queens, 55-year resident of Rosedale, Queens. And I would speak in favor of the maps that would keep District 31, where I reside, most closely to what it currently is. It is a district of homeowners made up of Southeast Queens communities, including Rosedale, Laurelton, Springfield Gardens, Cambria Heights. And we should work to keep those communities who share a common interest of home ownership in mass transit wastelands together. We have a wonderful council member in Sylvina Brooks Powers, and we would like to continue to be represented by her. So that's basically the gist of my testimony. Let's just keep the homeowning communities of Southeast Queens together.
And thank you for your testimony. Okay, have a good day.
Thank you.
We have Jacky Wang.
Okay, can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Thank you for all, especially the hard working performed by district commission members. My name is Jacky Wang. I'm an attorney. I've been living in Sunset Park and Dyker High for 15 years. I worked in Sunset Park. I'm still working in Sunset Park for over 17 years. So I'm also a board member for a non-for-profit organization called the Sunshine House. which advocates and promote mental health awareness in Sunset Park communities. So I am here to support the District Commission's creation of District 43, which creates the first majority Asian district in Brooklyn, which will have 57% of Asian population in this district. Despite the fact that everyone talks about the population increase in Brooklyn, Asian population double, tripled in Bensonhurst, Sunset Park, however, our voice is never heard. The reason why, because we need a lot of the education to make people aware that district mapping is so important. The previous and the current elected city council officials have not listened our voice. So that's why we, I, myself, and other groups will want to come forward and trying to tell the public what's the problems that we are facing and the challenges that the Asian populations are facing here. So current map is not reasonable. It splits Sunset Park, Dyker Heights, and also Bensonhurst Asian population into 4 districts. First, the District 38, it combines Hispanic community and the Asian community. The current city councilwoman herself claimed to the media that in order to serve almost half 47 or 48% of her district citizens, she will spend twice her office hour on 8th Avenue, twice a month. Listen, it's twice a month, not twice a week. So that's counting, let's say if she works 22 days in a month, that's less than 10% of her hour, which to be dedicated to almost half of the people in her district. That tells something that we as Asian people, we are neglected, we are unheard. And the second, District 43, yes, it combines Bay Ridge and the Dyker Heights. It used to be a very Italian dominant community. However, given the population increase, given the people moving from the neighboring Sunset Park, a lot of them moving into Dyker Heights. If you look up the Zillow, if you look up the grade schools data, you can tell the Asian students in Dyker Heights has been majority. However, Dyker Heights always has been part of Bay Ridge, being in the District 43. That therefore, our people in Dyker Heights, their voices are never heard or being properly represented. So District 47, it's a very strong Russian community. So again, the Asian population were part of our population were split into that community. We have no chance to have our voice heard. Number 4, District 44, it is a community.
If you could start to wrap up, please.
Yes, very tightly united. So there's no chance we're being heard. In response to the unity map and in response to the Mr. Don Lee just talking about that it's possible to keep Bensonhurst as a whole, to separate Sunset Park Asian population, to push back Sunset Park Asian population back into District 38, that it's possible the 2 districts can have 2 councilmen or councilwomen. That's a very rosy picture. His map, the Bensonhurst whole map, takes a portion of Sunset Park population into his district.
I'm sorry, you're gonna have to wrap up because we have a long line of people.
Okay. So given the 47% of Asian population, you do not create a majority Asian population. How possibly by taking away some of the population, then you can have 2 elected city council people. Second, he's talking about the seat.
Ma'am, I'm sorry to be, I just need you to wrap up because we really do have a long line of people.
Okay, I'm talking about this map is for 10 years. Even though the current CVAP data that Bensonhurst has a majority 42%, given 10 years, the people population in Sunset Park, the CVAP number definitely will be over. Why not unite
Thank
all
you.
people
Thank you.
together? Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Thank you very much. Have a good afternoon. Julia?
We have Liam Giordano. No. Robert Bianco. No. Let's see. Joel Gross. Chris McCree. Let's see.
Hello, hi. My name is Chris McCrite. I live in Bay Ridge, Brooklyn, and I would like to first thank the commission for creating this extra session so everybody's voice can be heard. It's very important, and I really appreciate it. I'm here in opposition to the preliminary maps because they really tear several neighborhoods and communities of interest apart and push neighborhoods that are very different together. I understand and appreciate that the commission is trying to create a district that gives Asian Americans the ability to elect an Asian American council member. And not only do I appreciate that, but I support it. However, the preliminary lines are not the way to do it. Many of the other options have been spoken about already, and I urge the commission to look at those several other maps that keep neighborhoods and communities of interests together. Like I said, I live in Bay Ridge. I can walk to Diker Heights in less than 3 minutes, and I often do. I strongly believe that Bay Ridge and Diker Heights should remain in the same district. In fact, one could argue that Bay Ridge and Diker Heights are really one neighborhood, a sort of Bay Ridge - Diker Heights, which lots of people in Southern Brooklyn often say Bay Ridge, Diker Heights together like that, as if they are one district. They're that connected. They're connected by families, institutions, and history. There was a time when there was no Verrazano Bridge, and these neighborhoods seamlessly merged together, and there's still that sort of mindset in Southern Brooklyn. As someone who has been a staffer in the city council and in the state assembly, I can attest to how much better government works for people when a district comprises all or nearly all of a community board, sanitation districts, police precincts, and so forth. Bay Ridge and Diker Heights share almost entirely all of Community Board 10, BK 10 for sanitation, and 68th Precinct. On top of that, the current lines actually place the current proposed lines actually place Diker Heights in the same district as Coney Island, which for reasons I just listed, will do a disservice to both neighborhoods who have less in common than other neighborhoods nearby, but they definitely share a desire for their government to work as efficiently as possible for them. I want to thank the commission for listening, and I urge you to maintain our historic connections here in Southern Brooklyn.
And thank you for your testimony. Have a good day.
We have Sarah Chu.
Hi, my name is Sarah Chu, and I'm a resident of 509 East 77th Street in Manhattan, and have been a member of Community Board 8 since 2006. Thank you for the opportunity to provide feedback today, and I just want to make clear I'm speaking today in my personal capacity, and I would like to focus my comments on the newly drawn maps for Districts 5 and 26. So by now you've heard from many New Yorkers across the boroughs who've raised concerns about keeping their communities of interest whole. And as commission members, I understand what a difficult job you have ahead of you and hope that you'll consider these concerns in all subsequent maps. So in Districts 5 and 26, what does it look like when communities of interest are divided? Who wins and who loses? Well, District 26 in Queens will lose. This culturally rich community will become 47% more white and 22% less Asian in the current plan. As an Asian American immigrant, I'm especially concerned about the voting power of Asian communities and how they're being diluted. Families in District 5 will lose. I live in the portion of District 5 that is being redrawn into District 26. I also live next door to my child's elementary school. And I don't know if you are aware of this, but the newly drawn District 26 absorbs John Jay Park and PS 158, a school zone that extends about 30 blocks, but this new map only includes 6 blocks of families in the new district. So that means that any changes to the school will exclude the voices and interests of the vast majority of families of the 720 children in that school. Additionally, we know that there have been development proposals to raise PS 158 and John Jay Park because of the nature of the air rights that have been sold in our neighborhood. So the current map completely separates the school and the park from the vast majority of the families whom rely on these services and who can advocate for their preservation. So who would benefit from these newly drawn lines for District 5 and 26? My neighbors and I fear that this map advantages developers who want to build in the newly portioned District 26 without the opposition of District 5. District 5 communities have long been united on preserving schools, parkland, and responsible development. So please change this story. Please don't go down in history as the redistricting commission that inadvertently sold off PS 158 and John Jay Park to developers and diminished the political power of Asian communities in a time of unprecedented hate crimes. I hope that you will be the redistricting commission that did the extraordinary job of keeping communities of interest whole, who kept districts of 2 phenomenal progressive women city council members in District 5 and 26 united, and who will build a map that will help communities flourish rather than be diminished by powerful interests. I believe that success can be found in a future map, and I thank the commission for honoring the needs of our communities. Thank you.
And thank you for your testimony as well. Have a great day.
We have Frank Ferrance.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, my name is Frank Ferrance. I live on Roosevelt Island. I've been here for 42 years, lived in the same building for 42 years. I'm a member of the Roosevelt Island Residents Association, the elected board for Roosevelt Island. And I would say that I've looked at the District 5 or the former District 5 and how it relates to this. And I just want to drill down on a couple of Councilmember Menin's points here. I would say, first of all, that what's happening to Roosevelt Island is unfair. Staten Island has certainly, had wide variance on its districts to support the communities and the cultures, of Staten Island, and Roosevelt Island should be the same, as in we should still be connected. I think part of the problem is there's about a dozen violations in what is it, chapter 52. And I will point out just one phrase here, which is each district shall be continuous, and whenever a part of a district is separated from the rest of the district by a body of water, there shall be connection by a bridge, a tunnel, and a tramway, or by regular ferry service. How many tramways are there in New York City? I count one, okay? It's a clear indication that Roosevelt Island belongs to the east side in statute, okay? There are some other issues here with the criteria, as some have mentioned on the, we're mostly, Upper East Side is mostly school district 2. That would really split that. I'm not a resident of Sutton Place, but there's no connectivity between that part and the rest of District 26. Likewise, Roosevelt Island is not connected because we don't have the tram now connected, it's separated out. And the Roosevelt Island Bridge connects you to Council District 22, not 26. And so we're really disconnected. I would say, of these, criteria, and there's about a dozen of them which it violates. A lot of them are ministerial, which is that they can be determined objectively. I think part of the problem, and I recognize the difficulty of this, which is it's a multi-axial problem of which you're trying to optimize, and you can't satisfy all criteria. However, the ministerial ones, the criteria you could have determined right away, and not just merely the voter count, the resident count. So I think once you looked at this, you would say, there's a huge problem here of the 3 entities that you're proposing that span 2 boroughs, and Roosevelt Island clearly would belong on the Upper East Side. And again, all the points that my council member has said on supporting this, we really need to be all part of the Upper East Side. And the last thing I'll say here is in the what's it, 52 paragraph 1, in preparation for its plan and dividing the city districts, the commission shall apply criteria set forth in the following paragraphs to the maximum extent practicable. clearly you're violating that because there are more practicable ways of doing this other than the way that you've decided. And I think one of the other people said that it seems like a computer did this. I know you didn't use computers, but there seems to be no human intervention on this. And I think that's the mistake that is made with the issue on this. Thank you again, Frank Ferentz, supporting stay in Community District 5. Thank you.
And thank you for your testimony, sir. Have a good day.
We have Suzanne Harvey.
Now, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, good. Good morning or almost good afternoon. I'm Suzanne Harvey. I'm a member of Community District 4 and have been a longtime member of the West 44th Street Better Block Association, which is just one of many very effective block associations here in Hell's Kitchen. I am speaking against the proposed map and for the Unity map. It is very important that Hell's Kitchen, which is internationally known, one just can say Hell's Kitchen anywhere and they know what you're talking about. It is a cohesive, active, influential, and effective community who cares about their citizens. It's a very diverse community. We are always known for being a caring community. We now have the asylum seekers in our community. When they were sent up from Texas, they looked around and said, where can they put them? Hell's Kitchen, that's what they do. And it is important that we have many other homeless people and other people in need. We are also a very effective community, effective in getting things done. That is because we are a cohesive community. To break us up into 3 different districts is making us non-effective. And one has to wonder if that is sometimes the reasoning behind all this and the purpose behind all this is to take particularly effective communities, not only ours, but the ones that I'm hearing from in other areas of the city, and make them not effective by splitting them up into too many districts, which is really a very, very counterproductive thing to do. That's basically what I want to say. I want to say, listen to all of us who are speaking for our communities, because when you break us up, we cannot do the things we have always done for our communities and for the city. Please, I appreciate you listening to me. Thank you.
Thank you and have a good afternoon.
We have Laurie Wang.
Yes. Good morning, members of commissions and all. Yes, my name is Laurie Wang, and I'm the Outreach and Health Coordinator at United Chinese Association, Brooklyn. So I have lived in Bensonhurst, Brooklyn for more than 10 years, and I have witnessed how communities grew by noticing many of the immigrant families, restaurants, and stores migrate into this neighborhood to settle down and expand their business over the years. I support the Unity map because it creates 2 strong pluralities, Asian American districts, one that contains only Bensonhurst and the other that keeps the Asian and Latino communities in Sunset Park together. The 43% increase in APA population in Brooklyn supports 2 strong pluralities, Asian American districts. I appreciate the commissions for trying to draw majorities APA districts, but to create one, the commission rules will divide neighborhoods of Bensonhurst into 3 and keep us separated where issues still remains unresolved. Bensonhurst is currently being divided into 4 city council districts, and Asian American communities is diluted among these 4 districts with approximately 25% of the APA population in each. Therefore, the Asian American community is not getting its fair share of resources, and because there are approximately 1/4 in each district. For example, when it comes to funding and resources allocation, community-based organizations in Bensonhurst will be having a hard time applying for certain government-funded programs or services, and they must apply to 4 different council members' offices while facing competitions from different neighborhoods in each one. Keeping the majorities of Bensonhurst in one district guarantees the communities will get its fair share of resources and need attention that has been lacking for years. And Bensonhurst is also a compact and diverse neighborhood. To divide this neighborhood into 1/3 breaks up a neighborhood that frequents the same stores, restaurants, culturally sensitive services, transportation lines, and other shared resources. Because the power is diluted, our needs are neglected. It shows a conclusion into communities as to who should represent them from street to streets. Originally, Bensonhurst was enclave for peoples of Italians and Jewish descent, but over the last 30 years, there has been a growth of cultural diversities that has made these neighborhoods into one of the most integrated areas of New York City. So based on the data from the 2020 census, Asian population in Bensonhurst grew to 46,000, surpassing the Asian population in Central Park of 31,000 and in the original Manhattan Chinatown, 27,000. So the way the map is shown should be able to accommodate fast-growing Asian communities in Bensonhurst. So therefore, I urge commissioners to please consider like unity maps that creates the two strong pluralities districts in Brooklyn that keeps Bensonhurst as one city council district. And so the APA neighborhoods in Bensonhurst and Central Park can each be strong and not undercut one another. Thank you for the opportunity to participate in this virtual hearing.
And thank you for your testimony as well.
Thank you.
We have Robert Jackman.
Good afternoon. Just made it to the afternoon. I am speaking in opposition to the change from Council District 5 to Council District 26. I want to thank Councilmember Julie Menin and Community Board Member Sarah Shu for their comments and support them and agree with what they've said. I have lived in District 5 for almost 40 years. District 5 is very heavily populated by senior citizens. I have been able to walk to my council member's office for the entire time I have lived here. Of course, now I would have to cross a river. I believe that the redistricting as it relates to Council District 5 and 26 violates several of the rules. Some of them have been mentioned. We are a community of interest. We're being pulled out of our community of interest. And of course, we're also being put in a cross-borough district. I think both of those changes violate the rules for redistricting. Sarah Shu asked who this was good for. I don't think it's good for people who live in Manhattan, for seniors who will no longer have direct access to their community board member. And I don't think it's for people who good for people who live in Queens. A lot of city resources are allocated based upon council districts. We're very heavy in healthcare. Healthcare is something that is not as available to the people living in the Queens district. So the new district would look like it's got plenty of healthcare. Would not be true for people on the other side of the river. So I think it's bad for us, and I think it's bad for the people in Queens. What makes sense? Why would this change be made? Probably because it benefits someone politically. Sarah mentioned John Jay Park and the possibility of building. Our council member is opposed to that. What would we expect from a council member in Queens? Finally, I would say that a change like this would further erode people's trust in their government. It would be unfair to this community, while the redistricting that's proposed gives Staten Island 3 council members, each of which would be below the number that would be allowed in each district. Please reconsider cutting out part of Manhattan and adding it to the Queens Council District. I cannot see any benefit to anyone except somewhere someone politically will gain. I don't think that's the reason to redistrict. Thank you.
Thank you, and good afternoon to you as well.
We have Ron Wallace.
Yes, hello. Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Ron Wallace, and I am the executive director of a youth-focused nonprofit called Foster Park Sports. And I am here today to oppose the new district drawings for Council District 45. I've been a part of the community for over 20 years, and I've seen a lot of the improvements that we've been able to make. And the neighborhood is predominantly a Caribbean and South Asian neighborhood. And we have, for a very long time, worked with our neighboring neighbors within the Council District 45, which includes Flatland and Canarsie. And this new drawing actually cuts those out. So what it actually does, it hinders kind of partnerships, create a lot of more barriers to being able to partner with those guys. And it doesn't really serve the community. We lose resources, we lose healthcare institutions and parks and senior care. So I am opposing the new drawing and advocating for the extension of the map in a different direction, more of the East Flatbush and Remsen Village neighborhood to be put back into the new map. Thank you.
And thank you for your testimony. Have a good day.
We have Ekram Al-Ramain.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Ekram Al-Ramain, a community health partner at the Academy of Medical and Public Health Services. AMS is a nonprofit healthcare organization in Sunset Park, Brooklyn, working to make healthcare more accessible to marginalized immigrant communities and people of color. We provide free clinical screening, bilingual mental health therapy, individualized health education, and social services, primarily with the Chinese, Latino, and Arab communities of Brooklyn, in Sunset Park and Bensonhurst. We are also a member of the APA Voice Redistricting Task Force. I'm here today to ask you to support the Unity Map because it creates two strong plurality Asian American districts, one that keeps Bensonhurst whole, the other that keeps the Asian and Latino community of interest in Sunset Park together. According to the 2020 census, we have seen a 43% increase in APA population in Brooklyn, which means that it's possible to create two strong Asian plurality districts. I thank the Commission for trying to draw a majority APA district, but the Commission's map divides the neighborhood of Bensonhurst in 1/3 and creates plurality white neighborhood to the determine of an Asian and Latino long-standing coalition district. We need to keep Bensonhurst whole and our communities of interest in Sunset Park together. APA community in Bensonhurst is a community of interest and should be kept whole as possible. It currently is divided into 4 city council districts with only 25% of the APA population in each. So if you have run a nonprofit before, you know that it's difficult enough to get funding, but when a district is divided in that way, or even into thirds, it's difficult for organizations to know who to go for funding, and resources will be split with other organizations in neighborhood composing the majority of the district. Our Bensonhurst partners have seen time and time again that the Asian American community does not get its fair share of resources because they are divided and are considered a minority of their district. Keeping the majority of Bensonhurst in one district guarantees the community will get its fair share of resources and will give the people power to fight for their fair share of funding for community-based services, language access, better public health, better public safety, and more. For Sunset Park, we need to keep Asian and Latino communities of Sunset Park together in a strong Asian plurality district because they have more issues in common than with Bay Ridge. The Asian and Latino communities of Sunset Park share language access issues, immigration, affordable housing, and healthcare issues. Most people living in Sunset Park are immigrants and renters, in contrast to Bay Ridge, which has a large white communities who are homeowners. Over the past 12 years, we have been serving both communities. They access food pantries, mental health services, and English classes. They build bonds with each other. Schools, medical facilities, and churches have materials translated into both languages. Spanish and Chinese-speaking communities members volunteer with each other. AMS, as well as other organizations like Center for Family Life, have staff speaking both languages. Dividing communities with common interests will only tear our communities farther apart and will continue to marginalize our communities. Dividing Bensonhurst into 4 city council districts means limited resources. It means overpopulated schools, lack of language access, increased homelessness rates, lack of affordable housing, and increased violence and crime rates. More divisions mean being unfairly neglected. In the same way, dividing the Latino and Chinese communities may also mean that it will be harder for existing organizations serving both communities to advocate for the same level of funding to support support to keep their organization afloat. For example, AMS is located in 3rd Avenue in District 38 and would subsequently need to seek funding from council members in District 38 and 43rd under the Commission's preliminary plan. However, provided that the majority of District 38 would be in Bay Ridge, it may be more difficult to get the needed support because there isn't a community of interest. Therefore, I urge the New York City District Commission to create the 2 strong plurality district in Brooklyn so the EPA neighborhoods in Sunset Park and Bensonhurst can each be strong and not undercut one another. Thank you.
And thank you for your testimony.
Okay, we have Ningha Prescott. No. Scott Daly. Samia El Romain. No. Erica Ewing. No. Jessica Gardinas. No. Erica Burson.
Hi there. This is Erica Burson. Thanks to the council for adding this virtual session. I live in Community District 5. I moved from the Upper West Side and bought an apartment in Community District 5 last February, which obviously was an interesting experience during a pandemic. What I'm here to say, I'm an active lay member in CB8 on the Social Justice Committee, and I also attend the full community board meetings with a look to be a member at some point in the future. With the proposed map for CD5 and CD26, I remain in CD5, but by half a block. And half a block away encompasses all of the hospitals and the academic institutions, which, to the gentleman's point earlier, would make it look like Queens has overnight received healthcare, the benefits of healthcare without the ability to get to them easily, because we know seniors can't get to those facilities. We also know that the area in Queens that is currently on the map to be combined with CD5 doesn't have a birthing center. So healthcare is a big issue on the current map. The other thing that's been raised is that the district offices, will the people in Manhattan that are district into 26, well, elderly people are overwhelmingly known to go into their representatives' offices and won't be able to do that at that point. I had a grandmother who died at 104 2 years ago. I mean, she was in her more times over the course of her life than I think her representative would have cared to have her sitting there, but she was an advocate, and I come from a long line of community activists. When we say a river runs through it, we're not kidding, but in this case, Lexington Avenue runs through it, because the bridge connecting Hunter College over Lexington Avenue will now be as part of this newly drawn map into different districts. The crossover as people have said, I joined the Queens meeting the other night as well. As people have said continuously, the joining of Manhattan and Queens simply does not work. Moreover, there is literally a river that runs through it. And I guess I'm still looking for somebody to explain to me that given that we have a city charter that requires contiguous lines without a tunnel, without a river, with people being able to get to it, to each of the, I guess, the areas via transportation, how CD5 and CD26 could have ever been imagined in any way, shape, or form to be a good idea to connect. So with that said, when it comes to healthcare, the elderly and access to representatives, and fulfilling the city charter's requirement, I would ask that the commission go back to the drawing board and keep CD5 as close to being intact in its current iteration as possible. Thank you.
And thank you for your testimony. Have a good afternoon.
We have Elizabeth Oyang.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, great. Hi, I'm outside in Jamaica. My name is Liz Oyang, the coordinator of APA Voice Redistricting Task Force, the largest Asian American redistricting coalition of 21 leading civic engagement groups throughout the city. Today, I testify in support of City Council District 1 and the commission's strong effort to keep Chinatown and Lower East Side together. It is better than the current City Council 1 map. So I applaud the commission for keeping our beloved Chinatown and Lower East Side together, a community that is besieged with unrelenting efforts to constant gentrification. However, even though the commission does an excellent job of keeping Manhattan, Chinatown, and Lower East Side together, we are supporting the unity map because overall it's best for Asian American communities throughout the city. For Brooklyn, as I testified yesterday, the unity map creates two plurality districts, strong plurality districts, one of the APA community in Sunset Park with the Latino community for a strong coalition district, and the second, it keeps a district with Bensonhurst totally contained within it, and also keeps Kensington, Brooklyn intact, the APA community, South Asian community there as well. For Queens, the unity map keeps Woodside, including Little Manila, whole in District 26. Keeps the APA community of interest in Elmhurst whole in District 25. Considers the growth in APA population in Northern Flushing in District 20, and creates a plurality APA district in Richmond Hill, South Ozone Park in District 32. I again implore this commission to balance the needs of Staten Island with where the population has grown more, and that's in Brooklyn, Queens, Manhattan, and the Bronx, respectively. Otherwise, millions of New York City residents are being stripped of an opportunity for fair representation. We urge this commission to release the different map that the commission drew that did not have all three districts contained within Staten Island. To ensure transparency, we ask the commission to please release this map immediately to the public for review and comment prior to the commission submitting a revised map to the city council. Thank you so much to the commission, and we really hope these maps ultimately that you draft will be fair, a fair representation of our communities. Thank you so much.
And thank you for your testimony. Have a good afternoon.
We have Samia Al-Romain.
Yes, that's me. Well, actually, my name is Betty Al-Hababi. I'm going to speak on behalf of Sumaya Romain. Okay, my name is Betty Al-Hababi, and I am a community organizer for Women's Empowerment Coalition of New York City. NYC provides education, civic, financial, professional, and social, and other trainings, as well as resources as means to empower and build capacity. NYC is a member of the Mapping Our Future Coalition. The opportunity to draw fair restrictions only to continue once every 10 years. If we don't get this right, our community will have to live with the consequences for the next decade. NYC is located in the heart of a heavy conservative Arab and immigrant population. We serve the needs of the most vulnerable in our communities altogether. For example, one of our client of ours have housing problems, but it makes it harder for us to work with our Arab, Muslim, and immigrant communities in southern Brooklyn because our assemblies registering one moment. Okay. Where am I? Because our shared values and interests, we need to stay together in order to hold weight in demanding registration, representation, whether it's in congressional, council, or assembled districts. Arabs, Muslims, and immigrants have had marginals for far too long, and it registering results separates our communities and only future the migrants and political suppression, and we continue to face. That's all I have to say.
Thank you for your testimony and have a good afternoon.
We have Teresa Tanjan. No. Stephen Espinoza. No. Stephen Heron.
Yes. Good afternoon, everyone. I am Stephen Herring. My address is 475 West 57th Street. I have resided in Hell's Kitchen for almost 20 years, along with my partner who resides on West 47th Street. I'm a West 48th Street Block Association, where I first became aware of this pressing issue. I am asking you to keep Hell's Kitchen whole. The map that the commission proposes will divide our neighborhood into 3 major chunks, which means we would be represented by 3 different city council members. I think this would be a complete disaster for our neighborhood, as we would have to convince 3 different council members to fight for a whole host of things, including our small businesses. You see, I am also the founder and executive director of an arts education nonprofit, a small business based here in Hell's Kitchen. The name is Living Arts Collaborative Incorporated. 9th and 10th Avenues, from the West 30s to the West 50s, are main commercial thoroughfares of Hell's Kitchen, and a variety of small businesses from nonprofits to restaurants and bars, hardware stores, laundries, and lots of mom and pop shops thrive in this community. I would dare say a big reason why so many of these small businesses thrive is because we can bring our questions, concerns, and at times our emotional outbursts to a single city council member and reach effective solutions together. The preliminary map would devastate our thriving community. 10th Avenue would be split right up the middle. Businesses on the west side of 10th Avenue above West 49th would be in CD6. Those on the east side of 10th Avenue would land in CD4. And all businesses on 10th Avenue south of West 49th would be in CD3. Meanwhile, businesses on 9th Avenue would be split between two city council districts. Lastly, I have to say, the optics of creating 3 majority white districts from 1 majority minority district are rather disturbing, and most likely a violation of the Voting Rights Act. Fortunately, there is already an alternative map that preserves the diversity of our neighborhood and keeps Hell's Kitchen whole. It's called the Unity Map. And it was put together by a coalition of leading legal voting rights advocacy organizations representing Hispanic, Black, and Asian communities. I ask you to adopt the Unity Map for City Council District 3 to keep Hell's Kitchen whole and preserve our diversity. I thank you so much for the work you've done, and I thank you for hearing me.
And thank you for your testimony, and have a good afternoon.
You too.
We have Leslie Woodruff.
Hi, thanks for allowing us to speak. I'm also in support of the Hell's Kitchen Unity Map that my neighbor Steve Herring spoke about. I'd also love for you to hear from my daughter.
So it's very hard in Hell's Kitchen because every time when we pick up trash from the neighborhood, we see needles, and it's yucky when we see them.
We have had a lot of challenges in Hell's Kitchen because of the pandemic. There were significant budget cuts to sanitation. We are Midtown, so we do get so much, traffic in our neighborhood from, everyone coming in. It's been really difficult during the pandemic, having over 20 homeless hotels just within a stone's throw of our apartment. That came with a lot of reverberations that weren't so nice. There was a lot of the uptick in drug usage. There were a lot of quality of life issues. We participate in a lot of neighborhood cleanups because of those budget issues and sanitation cuts. Just walking my daughter to school 3 blocks, we have encountered so many challenges over the last couple of years. The homeless hotels really made a big impact on our neighborhood quality of life. And what I find so important to say here is that we live on 47th Street, but those hotels, the majority of them that affected our life, would end up being in a different district based on the proposed new lines. And I find it really hard to believe that by breaking our neighborhood up, we would have different representation. We'd be marginalized as far as not having a unified voice. I really don't believe that being a part of the Upper East Side, which to me feels like a different, I need a passport to go to the Upper East Side for the difference between Hell's Kitchen and Upper East Side. How would we get the same representation? Why would that representative understand our needs? Would they care about our needs if we were just a small fraction of their, district? These are the things that other parents care about. We're facing so many challenges in New York City. The straw that breaks the camel's back is coming. We're fighting against education budget cuts now. We've already seen so many families leave New York City. Hell's Kitchen, right in the heart of Manhattan, Midtown. We have so many other issues. Please keep us whole so that we can continue to unify together. I am in charge of, I formed a group of neighborhood parents when my daughter was born, Hell's Kitchen families. There's over 800 of us. Today I'm representing them. Many of them are working, and we just really need a unified voice. So thank you.
And my thanks to both of you for your testimony.
We have Edward Cerna. Tom Harris. see, seems like he's on mute.
My apologies. You
There
would
we
think
go.
after
Okay.
3 years I would have this right. Good afternoon, Chair Wilcott and Commissioners. My name's Tom Harris. I also favor keeping Hell's Kitchen whole. I'm the president of the Times Square Alliance, the business improvement district that has kept Times Square clean, safe, and enjoyable for all who visit since 1992. I respectfully submit this testimony to urge the New York City Districting Commission to modify the redistricting map by extending the boundary for council districts 3 and 4 from Broadway and 42nd Street to Columbus Circle. This will create a more equitable representation of our commercial and cultural district. Times Square, the district from 40th to 53rd Street between 6th and 8th Avenue, and Restaurant Row on 46th Street between 8th and 9th Avenue comprise one of the city's most vital economic engines. The eastern portion of the district is largely characterized by office use and hotels and serves as a transition point between the Midtown East commercial core and the entertainment district west of Broadway, which includes the theater district and more residential uses. The Times Square's western portion has been culturally and politically aligned with the Hell's Kitchen community for decades. In fact, many of the residents of Hell's Kitchen work on Broadway and in Times Square. In the current draft of the redistricting map, Times Square loses critical representation with constituents west of Broadway. We believe a more equitable solution can be achieved by continuing the boundary lines along Broadway from 42nd Street to Columbus Circle. This will ensure the Times Square area can continue to work in partnership with and would establish an alignment of interests between residents, businesses, and the theater community, and be more representative of the diversity of these constituencies at the City Council, which has been vital to the success of Times Square for nearly a decade. Thank you very much.
And thank you for your testimony, and have a good afternoon.
You too.
Thank you.
We have Elka Fears.
Good morning. My name is Elka Fears. I'm president of the West 47th, 48th Street Block Association, and I know it's afternoon. So I live on West 47th Street. I've been a resident of Hell's Kitchen for more than 40 years. My husband and I were newly married when we moved to Hell's Kitchen, a neighborhood that had a terrible reputation, but one we could afford. We like the economic and ethnic mix of the neighborhood. We like the sense of community. We purchased a home and we're happy to learn that the Special Clinton District that was created in 1973 protected us from large-scale development and helped to foster the sense of community called Hell's Kitchen. But Hell's Kitchen in the 80s and early 90s was an area that was all but forgotten by the city. Crime was rampant in the area. Our local Hell's Kitchen Park had become a drug marketplace. Crack and heroin were sold openly in front of our home on West 47th Street, and street prostitution was a major business. But we discovered that many residents, new and old, were not happy with what the neighborhood had become. They were actively trying to change things for the better. My husband and I joined them. We went to countless public meetings, had rallies, wrote letters. I became president of the West 47th, 48th Street Block Association, then vice president of the Midtown North Precinct Community Council, then co-chair of the Land Use Committee of Manhattan Community Board 4. Many of us are still actively engaged in making the neighborhood a better place to live and work. And the driving force, the single motivating factor that animates us all is the sense of community. And that community is called Hell's Kitchen. It's a neighborhood of defined boundaries. It's a neighborhood that people care about. It must be kept whole. The commission's preliminary map divides our neighborhood into 3 major chunks so that we would be represented by 3 different city council members. Having to convince 3 different city council members to work together in our best interest seems untenable. If Hell's Kitchen is split into 3 different parts, it will make it easier for real estate developers to chip away at the Special Clinton District. And if the current proposed redistricting for City Council District 3 is enacted, a third of our block association membership would be represented by a different city council member. Imagine what this will do to our sense of community, our commitment to working to make our neighborhood and our city a better place to live and work. A sense of identity is vital to the health of an individual, and it's vital to a community. There is an alternative map that preserves the diversity of our neighborhood and keeps Hell's Kitchen whole. It's called the Unity Map. I respectfully ask that you adopt the Unity Map for City Council District 3. Keep Hell's Kitchen whole. Thank you for listening.
And thank you for your testimony as well. Have a good afternoon.
We have Vladimir Edward. No. Jean Daniel Noland. I think that they're, let's see, you may be on mute.
I'm so sorry, I was on mute. Excuse me. Can I start again?
Yes, we've got you.
Thank you. Thank you. Good afternoon, commissioners. Thank you for your patience. Thank you for your stamina. My name is Jean Daniel Nolan. I live on 48th Street, West 48th. I've lived there for about 35 years. As a former chair of Manhattan Community Board 4, I want to provide some context to the vital importance of keeping the historic neighborhood of Hell's Kitchen intact. I hope it can be useful. Manhattan Community Board 4, which includes Chelsea and Hell's Kitchen, has long recognized the remarkably intact built environment of Hell's Kitchen. It's a neighborhood of Manhattan with an abundance of 19th century architecture, a fierce sense of community, as you've heard today, and a distinct sense of place. The board has also been aware of the special nature of Hell's Kitchen historic legacy of immigrant, social, labor, and artistic history. Waves of immigrants, Irish, Italian, German, Greek, and internal migrants, Native American, Puerto Rican, African American, Midwestern, LGBTQ have called it home. And now, thanks to Governor Gregory Wayne Abbott of Texas, hundreds of asylum seekers will call it home too. So in March of 2019, Board 4 retained architectural historian Anthony Robbins to undertake a thorough review of the history of Hell's Kitchen. And the resulting report, which is available on CB4's website, proposed historic districts be designated in Hell's Kitchen. A Hell's Kitchen historic district above 42nd Street and a Patty's Market historic district below 42nd. This area includes the most intact collection of row houses, tenements, and related buildings in New York City. The Historic District Council of New York included Hell's Kitchen in its class of 6 to celebrate, citing its, quote, pristine historic landscapes, streetscapes of row houses, tenement buildings, religious structures, and commercial architecture. As the report points out, once visitors cross west of 8th Avenue, leaving hotels and Broadway behind, they know instantly they've entered Hell's Kitchen. The report's conclusion is clear. Hell's Kitchen, and I quote, most significantly constitutes a distinct section of the city, unquote. The proposed dismemberment of this distinct section of the city would not only be an unprecedented rending of one of New York's most intact, most loved neighborhoods, it would also dishonor the memory of the thousands of immigrants, almost one more sentence, past and present, who have called Hell's Kitchen home. One last sentence. We must find a way to maintain the integrity of the distinct neighborhood that this is, and to preserve the spirit of a welcoming diversity, a unified Hell's Kitchen exemplifies. Thank you, Commissioners. Sorry I went over.
Nope, not a problem. And thank you for your testimony.
We have Lining He.
Hi, good afternoon, Mr. Chair and Commissioners. This is Lining He from Bensonhurst, Berkeley. And I'm so glad that we eventually got a chance to speak. I'm speaking on behalf of the thousands of the first generation immigrants in Bensonhurst area, that we speak in favor of the proposed new 43rd district that our commission has been working diligently and for the past month. That first, I want to say that I'm not an expert on redistricting, and even gerrymandering, this word is new to me. But I think that there is a reason for our dear commission to come up with a map. I mean, anybody can come up with a map, but I trust the commission. And by looking at our community, and apparently, I think it makes a lot of sense. And it gave us a hope that we could have the possibility of electing one of ourselves as a representative, representing Asian Americans, particularly the first generation and underrepresented Asian Americans who have language barriers and this, that. See, my Chinglish it's just like this, but most of the folks in my community even dare not to come into the meeting and testify in front of the commission. So secondly, I think it's more important. I heard a lot of people testifying. But to be frank, as a just average Joe, as a Asian American citizen, I feel the commission should more worry about the communities rather than politicians and their affiliates the need. I know a lot of people talk about fundings and this and that. Yeah, I know those fundings are important to certain people, but to us, like the average Joe, I mean, we're not getting fundings from the government, right? What we care most is we have a voice in the city council that can represent us, and this person may not speak perfect English, but he or she understands our need. And I think this is extremely important, and that's why I'm totally in favor of the commission's proposal of creating a new 43rd district that gave us a hope to electing one of us to sit on the table together with many other representatives across New York City. The last but not the least, I truly think that we should put people's will in front of politicians' needs. And if you go to Bensonhurst, if you just look around 8th Avenue, Bensonhurst, a lot of people who barely speak English, but they are Americans like you and me. Right? So I just walk around and you will see the reasoning behind this 43rd district. And if we got diluted, there's no way we don't even have a person just in the circle. I mean, who should I talk to? Who should we talk to? So I'm sorry that I'm not, I couldn't scientifically do any research on this issue, but I trust the commission. I wanted to express my support and to the proposal of the creation of a new 43rd district that could possibly have one of the Asian American representatives emerge in the city council. Thank you very much. Thank you for your time.
And thank you for your testimony, and have a good afternoon. Thank you.
Thank you. We have Y. Chan.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
All right, finally, thank you. Good afternoon. Thank you for this opportunity. My name is Wei Chan, Executive Director of HomeQuest Community Services, HCS. We are part of the APA Voice Redistricting Task Force. HCS was established in 1997 and has served the community for over 2 decades. We provide community-based multi-social services for senior, youth, and immigrant families living in Southern Brooklyn. We operate 2 senior centers. One is in Shepshed Bay, and the other one is just right in Bensonhurst. Both are funded by Department for the Aging. Our membership base has grown to 4,000 for the past decade. HCS Center in Bensonhurst provide not only senior services, but also multi-social services, helping constituents apply for government entitlements. Roughly counted, we serve over 200 people daily. Census report on 2020 indicates the Asian populations in Community District 11, which include Bensonhurst and Bath Beach, has 41% Asian, the largest Asian population in Brooklyn. We are a compact community whose members have common ground in terms of history, ethnicity, language, and social concerns. However, we have always been underrepresented. Our community interests have not been adequately represented at the city level. To ensure the fast-growing demographic group in Brooklyn to have a voice in decision-making process over the next decade, we need to unify Bensonhurst into one city council district. For the past 10 years, our members have been suffering from confusing voting districts. Family members live in the same neighborhood, even in the same block, or just right across the street, have different city representatives. We acknowledge the Redistricting Commission create an Asian majority district in Southern Brooklyn. However, we still think Bensonhurst from large community into 3 small districts is unfair and wrong. This map will dilute the resources and funding that this great community needs. We have not been treated fairly for far too long, and we cannot wait another 10 years to ratify a mistake that will put our community in jeopardy. So we demand that the map should be redrawn to keep Bensonhurst intact in one unified district. Thank you for listening.
And thank you for your testimony, and I'm glad you finally got on. Have a good afternoon.
Thank you.
We have Jing Li.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Jing Lei. I'm a resident of Bensonhurst for the past 10 years. Thank you for this wonderful opportunity to testify to strongly support the creation of the new District 43, which would be the first Asian as majority district in Brooklyn. Well, thank you so much for taking so much time making this redistricting process. I believe the redistricting map lives out the Unity Act, and it accurately reflects the demographic changes in New York City. I believe that this new District 43 will well acknowledge the growing Asian population. As Mr. He just pointed out, the new proposal is a fair representation of the will of people rather than that of certain politicians. It also adequately echoes the needs and needs of communities of color instead of those of major parties. So this new district will ensure that the electoral and political power of underrepresented communities, especially Asian communities, will be preserved and protected. This proposal, of course, has gained strong community support from a wide range of civic organizations and ethnic groups. Finally, I would like to point out that the creation of District 43 will help to unite instead of divide underrepresented communities, especially the growing Asian community. With 57% of Asian population, this new district will allow various Asian groups to work together based on common grounds and ensure that our voices are being heard loud and clear. Anyway, thank you for listening.
And thank you for your testimony, and have a good afternoon.
Oh, we have Troy He. No. Heidi Jo Spiegel. No. Richard Pizer.
hear?
I think you got the wrong Richard.
Oh.
We've got Richard Pizer.
Richard.
You're kind of cutting out, Richard.
Hello?
Your connection is not great. Maybe if you turn off your video and just use audio.
Is that better?
That's a little bit better.
Again?
No.
Richard,
Okay,
you're having a tinny sound. So sorry.
Okay, we may have to come back to you, Richard. Okay, we'll come back to Richard. Iman Hamden. No, Anson Tang.
Good afternoon, dear commissioners and everyone here. My name is Anson Tang. I represent the United Chinese Association Brooklyn, UCA, located in Bensonhurst. We are a member of APA Voice Redistricting Task Force as well. UCA founded in 2002. We are a nonprofit organization that mobilize community resources to improve the quality of life and meet the distinctive needs of the Asian American immigrations population, primarily in Bensonhurst. Every year, we provide thousands of individuals and families with direct social services and community programs. We also advocate for voter rights and aim to cultivate political awareness and civic mindedness in the communities. Today, I will be focusing my remarks on uniting Bensonhurst and keep it as a one intact district. Where existing district lines have diluted the voices of low-income immigrant communities and deprived these communities of essential public resources. Our office is on Stillwell Avenue, few blocks away from the D and N train stations. It's located in the Assembly District 47. We serve thousands of residents from the district, providing health insurance, house assistance, COVID emergency responses, and giveaways, applications assistance for governmental social services, and other critical resources. I appreciate the commissions for trying to draw out a majority APA district, but to create the one that commission drew divides the neighborhood of Bensonhurst into 3 districts. Breaking up the communities, taking away the community's ability to come together and advocate for important issues. For example, here in Bensonhurst, we are artificially broken up into 4 city council districts extending way off in every direction. This means there is no elected official or fully committed to listen to our concerns. We care about issues like affordable housing, hate crimes, homeless shelters, language services, and more. When communities are artificially divided and maps are unfairly weighted, we are enabled to voice our concerns, and our ability to participate in the political process is undermined. There is no question that Bensonhurst is a compact neighborhood, and its population priorities is dense enough to have its own district within the communities. We strongly believe that they should be united and made whole through the redistricting process. By combining the communities of interest in Bensonhurst and uniting us into one complete district, we can make a major step forward to a more equitable communities. As a single unified council district across our neighborhoods will help all of us provide comprehensive, culturally sensitive, and language access service for everyone to thrive. The unity maps show uniting Bensonhurst as whole and able to create 2 strong priority districts. I urge the redistricting commissions to unify the Asian community and keep Bensonhurst as one city council district. I thank the commissions for listening to me today and ask that you please consider the representative needs of community I just described to extent it's possible to do so without in any way diluting minority voting powers. Thank you very much.
And thank you for your testimony. We have time for one more public testimony because we do have a hard stop at 1. And we'll send out the email address where if you want to submit your testimony, you're welcome to do that. And tonight we have our meeting at the Schomburg from 5:30 to 9 p.m. Julia?
We have Brian Weber.
Thank you, commissioners. This has been a long and robust hearing, so thank you for allowing me to speak. My name is Brian Weber. I live in Hell's Kitchen. I'm a resident of West 36th Street. I'm the co-chair of the 36th Street Block Association. I'm a public member of Community Board 4. I serve as a resident board member of the Garment District Alliance, and I am the president of the Midtown South Precinct Community Council. To say I'm involved in this community that is dear to me would be an understatement. I'm here today to speak in opposition to the preliminary maps drafted by the redistricting committee. I appreciate the enormity of your task, but I implore the districting committee to keep Hell's Kitchen whole. We are a cohesive and unified neighborhood currently wholly in New York City Council District 3, and we are dealing with common concerns and issues unique and specific to our community. The preliminary draft of the redistricting divides our community among districts 3, 4, and 6. And I'm deeply concerned that our voices and the voices of my neighbors in Hell's Kitchen will be significantly diluted when neighbors are potentially parceled out among the 3 council districts. I urge the committee to consider using the unity map, which keeps Hell's Kitchen intact. And for sake of brevity, I wish to echo the comments of State Senator Brad Hoylman, who spoke at the start of this meeting, and my neighbors, Barbara Connect, Suzanne Harvey, Steve Herring, Leslie Woodruff, Elka Fears, the incomparable JD Nolan, and of course, Tom Harris from the Times Square Alliance. Thank you for your time. Please keep Hell's Kitchen whole. We'll also be submitting written testimony, which I can assure you will be lengthier. Thank you.
And thank you for your testimony. Have a good afternoon. And we still have one left, so we can squeeze one additional person in. Julia?
Okay, we have Laura second.
Hello, can I be heard?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, this is Laura King, and I'm representing Friends of the Upper East Side Historic Districts. Dear Commissioners, Friends is a not-for-profit organization that has worked since our founding in 1982 to preserve the architectural history, livability, and sense of place of the diverse neighborhoods that comprise the Upper East Side. This concern for neighborhood preservation necessitates sound planning as a vital tool of balanced urban development. For the past 40 years, we have worked closely with every council member that has served the Upper East Side and clearly understand the essential role they play in safeguarding our neighborhood and representing the interests of our community. The decision to include Roosevelt Island and around 55 blocks of Sutton Place and Upper East Side within Queens Council District 26 will have grave consequences to the nearly 50,000 Manhattan residents of those areas. The Upper East Side and Queens have an undeniably different character, and residents and elected officials from both boroughs more likely than not have different priorities. This is especially consequential when it comes to local government, like the City Council, where local representatives can most often have a direct impact on the lives of residents in that community. The tens of thousands Manhattan residents affected by the proposed nonsensical boundaries will represent only 27% of the total population of new District 26, and therefore may be disadvantaged during important decision-making and budgeting processes. Ultimately, the proposed boundaries will diminish the political voice of our community. This clearly violates the districting criteria where neighborhoods and communities of interest are to be kept intact. The Upper East Side is the densest neighborhood in all of 5 boroughs. From leafy low-rise side street, apartments and shops in century-old buildings, stately residential buildings on the avenues, to magnificent cultural and religious institutions and numerous medical and research facilities with sprawling campuses, the Upper East Side is as complex and multi-layered as the city itself. Its residents need a local representative that is intimately familiar with every aspect of the neighborhood, one that will go for bat for their interests when it comes to land use matters, such as ULURP and landmark applications. In our 40 years of history fighting for the character of our neighborhood, we have learned that there is significant value in local knowledge, and the Upper East Side deserves a local representative. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony. Have a good afternoon. And at this point, we have to conclude this portion of our hearings. And tonight we'll be reconvening at the Schomburg. Julia, any closing words?
No, thank you.
All righty. Thank you all. And we appreciate your testimony, and we look forward to any written testimony as well. And have a good afternoon.